This is my book, Yellow Star. In 1939, the Germans invaded the town of Lodz, Poland. They forced all of the Jewish people to live in a small part of the city called a ghetto. They built a barbed wire fence around it and posted Nazi guards to keep everyone inside. 270,000 people lived in the Lodz ghetto. In 1945, the war ended. The Germans surrendered and the ghetto was liberated. Out of more than 250,000 people, only about 800 walked out of the ghetto. Of those who survived, only 12 were children. My Aunt Sylvia was one of the 12. Now this took place in World War II during the Holocaust, which was a scary time. And it's a true story, but it's a story of hope. And this is a story about a little girl who was overwhelmed and anxious about the things that were going on in the world around her. And yet, day by day, she kept herself occupied, she kept herself busy, and amazing things did happen. Now, at the beginning of the book, there was a symbol. I want to tell you about this symbol and how it changed from the beginning to the end of the book, so be thinking about that. The symbol is the Star of David. Orange is the color of my coat with matching muffler that I got as a present before the war. Dora got the same set, only larger and in blue. Yellow is the color of the felt six-pointed star that is sewn onto my coat. It is the law that all Jews have to wear the Star of David when they leave their house or else be arrested. I wish I could rip the star off carefully, stitch by stitch, so as not to ruin my lovely coat, because yellow is meant to be a happy color, not the color of hate. So the symbol of the Star of David, to her, the star that she had to wear on her coat, she was forced to by the Nazis who had imprisoned many people in World War II. It was a symbol of hatred and prejudice. And for her, being Jewish in a time when being Jewish wasn't a very good time in history. So it was scary and it was hard. But the years went by and she and her family, her papa, her mama, and her sister Dora managed to stay safe and survive in this ghetto. And then one night in the dark, little Syvia hears sounds. And soon, Papa brings everyone out into the courtyard that is surrounded by factories where the Nazi soldiers made weapons. And all of the 800 people who were left in the ghetto came out too. And they didn't know this, but it was the ending of the war. And the Allies, who included the United States of America and the Soviet Union, Russia, they had sent airplanes to bomb the German factories because they didn't want any more Nazi weapons. And unfortunately, the ghetto was surrounded by them. So everyone's down in the ghetto and they're bent over and they're huddling together. And Syvia, is surrounded by people who are singing and praying and just waiting. And around them, the Russian fighter pilots are flying over and over and they're dropping bombs around. And so there's explosions and fires from the weapons and bombs and explosions and so much noise. And then suddenly there's silence. And everyone looks around. And not long after that, a Russian soldier comes into the ghetto on horseback. And he goes and talks to Papa, who had become a leader of the ghetto. Papa comes back and he says, I have a wonderful story. That Russian soldier is a major, the leader of his men. He was actually up in one of the planes dropping bombs in the ghetto. He had orders to demolish the whole ghetto, and he and his men were doing so when he flew over the courtyard. And guess what? The spotlight on his plane shone down. Papa pauses. We all lean to hear more. Shone down on our yellow stars, Papa says. He saw our yellow stars glowing in the spotlight. He immediately ordered his soldiers to avoid bombing that area. Then he flew down and rescued us. And everyone around them saying, what a miracle! This is incredible! This is amazing. And Syvia thinks, I looked down at my yellow star, which has been patched on my front for so many years, I had forgotten it was there. Many of us also had stars on our backs, too, to show we are Jews. Well, they showed we are Jews, all right, a man laughs. Showed us right off to the Russians. And everyone cheers. So this star, the symbol, changes from very negative to very positive, the things that save their lives. And I'd love for you to think about what for you is a symbol of hope. Laughter, your families, positivity, and people. You can look around and think about it, or you can write something. That would be a good writing prompt. What's a symbol of hope for you? Anyway, it was a happy ending for my Aunt Sylvia because she became my Aunt Sylvia, and she's alive, and she's doing well. And I truly believe we all will be too.